Hello, my name is Alan, and today I am facilitating what's turning out to be the final session of, I think, 7, or have we done 8? I've lost track. But anyway, this is going to be the last one because I have some family commitments next week I can't get out of. So we are playing The Between. This is Jason Cordova's PBTA game of Gothic horror in 1870s London, strongly influenced by Penny Dreadful, but a variety of other sources as well that kind of fit into that British Gothic feel. This game was organized as part of the Gauntlet RPG communities. If you want to know more about the Gauntlet, search gauntlet-rpg.com and come find us. Interesting Twitter thread from our community manager came up today, which just laid out, I think, in about 15 or 16 tweets, reasons to be cheerful. Join the Gauntlet. And so I'm not going to say any more about that. I will say my pronouns are he, him. We are playing with a set of safety tools. You want to hear more about what we do and how we do it, see one of the earlier sessions, but I'm going to move swiftly on today. And I would like to start, let me just organize my character keeper. I'd like to start by inviting the players to say hello and introduce us to their characters. So left to right on the character keeper. Blake, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and introduce us to Razor Rose Roberts.
G'day, I'm Blake, he, him. I'm playing Razor Rose Roberts, she, her, who is playing the American, a kind of fish out of the water with a deep feral secret. It's not that secret, but still.
I think it's less secret now than it was last night in game terms, when you were subjected to a curse by the Coven that has pushed you nearer to that point of transformation. So I'm looking forward to dusk. Thank you for that. Moving along, Leandro, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and introduce us to Chambers, our factotum.
Yes, hello, my name is Leandro, I use he, him pronouns. I'm playing the factotum known only as Chambers, uses she, her pronouns. She is directly employed to one of the other PCs and is super competent, super mysterious, and weirdly more independent than people would expect of her station, I suppose. But that's what competency gets you, quite a bit of independence for an employer, to the point where she's basically ignored everything that it's been doing in the last session, has gone off to deal with the threat on her own, hence avoiding the whole witch's curse nonsense.
Well, and there is a threat on her turf that cost the life of an old friend, inverted commas, of hers.
Quote unquote friend, yes.
Quote friend. So yeah, no, I mean this is personal for Chambers. And she is competent, which is to say dangerous. Moving along, David, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and introduce us to Victor Weiss, Dr. Victor Weiss, the mother.
Yeah, hi, my name's David. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm playing Dr. Victor Weiss, who also uses he, him pronouns. Dr. Weiss is in the Mother playbook, which is the a skilled doctor who has an interesting sideline in attempting to reanimate the dead. In his case, his dearly departed lover, Kit, who he is slowly reassembling on a slab in the, probably actually in the attic, I think, given the lighting we talked about. So I think the last time we saw Dr. Weiss, after some work with our previous vessel, we saw him attending a ball with Miss Tatiana Braithwaite, witnessing a rather strange seance ritual.
Which left him marked as well.
Indeed.
With the condition husk, which is to say that your hands the skin has gone hard and cracked and weeps. So that's going to make that careful surgical work tricky. And I think you're right, it should be in the attic, because where are you going to get a supply of lightning to animate
Indeed.
otherwise? And finally, moving on, Darren, say hello. Tell us about your pronouns and reintroduce us to Ephraim Parker, our vessel.
Hi, I'm Darren. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm playing Ephraim, who is the vessel playbook and specializes in psychometry and divination.
And last time was also part of this strange seance at Braithwaite Hall, where the Coven revealed themselves to you, and I think threatened you or challenged you if you dared to interfere with their plans. So those are our characters. In terms of the current state of play, it is currently dawn, and we have three threats live. We have Figs Pigs, but it is true to say that I think Rose, was it Rose? I think it was Rose, worked out that Obert Fig, oh, was it Leanne, or was it Chambers? I'm losing track. Obert Fig, one of the missing murderers, mass murderers, who have been putting human meat into Fig's pies. Obert Fig could be tempted by someone who is sufficiently skilled, but also missing a limb. So we might have to find a goat that you can tether that might tempt Obert out into the light. The other threat we have on the cards at the minute is the Coven. We know, I think, that there is a grand ritual going to take place, and it will take place tonight. And you don't know where, you don't know what the ritual is going to be. You haven't answered any of those questions yet. But if you could answer that question today, you might have a chance of saving London from the Coven's ritual tonight. And finally, the one that Chambers got particularly involved with last time, Sally No Face. Given that Clara Yarborough, that friend from your youth, was found defaced in Whitechapel, you have worked out the answer to the question, where is the killer hiding? And what I think we came up with was, this is Gregory's townhouse, or have I mistaken this? Because I've just noticed an abandoned candle making factory next to the Thames.
Oh, I doubled back and changed it to a candle making factory during the session so I could hit an echo of the night.
Okay. So it is in an abandoned candle making factory next to the Thames, and we think that the killer might be operating under the name Gregory. You to resolve that threat, you will need to infiltrate the killer's lair, the candle factory, then capturing or destroying them. So I'll make sure that that's consistent. So just move that. There we go. An abandoned candle making factory next to the Thames. Okay. So let's begin with Rose. Rose, you returned last night. It's dawn. We've done the dawn phase, but you can feel the beast growling, back here in your hindbrain. The beast is restless. What are you thinking of doing today?
As much as I'd like to do Figs Pigs, I think we should probably focus on the Coven, since there's a countdown on that one. So as I recall, there were some locations to investigate where this fellowship was doing stuff, or I got that wrong?
Well, there's the stuff that's in the threat itself. There are
here we go. There are
3 places. Yeah, there are 3 places where the Coven have been. It must be said, you've got quite a lot of clues for the Coven. I think you're in double figures for the Coven clues. But certainly, yes, you could pick one of those and go find out what's been going on.
Yeah,
Because they've
I'll have a
clearly
look
been
around.
doing the rounds of London grand houses. Braithwaite Hall last night was the fourth in a sequence.
Okay, I'm gonna go and look at Rutland Gardens.
Okay, so Rose is heading to Rutland Gardens. Can I ask Dr. Weiss, what are you thinking of focusing on today?
That's a good question. I was wondering. I think I actually might continue investigating the figs, as I think there may be more to draw out on them. I'm wondering actually about maybe returning to their home now that it's sort of been a couple of days.
Since you murdered someone there.
Exactly. And to see whether they have returned at some point, whether anything's changed, and also because I didn't get a chance to have a look around upstairs. So
that's very true. That's very true. So is this going to be are you going in through the back because you know you can get access through the back, or are you going to try and inveigle your way in through the front somehow?
Yeah, I'll probably just enter through the back like I did before. Well,
okay.
Hopefully not quite like I did before, but
no, yes, that was under cover of night and all sorts of things. Let me ask Chambers. Chambers, what are you thinking about today? Will you accompany your master, Dr. Weiss, or do you want to continue to plow your independent furrow?
Well, I figured out enough to kill the bastard, so I'm actually gonna, for once, help my employer out, since threats can only be resolved at night. And I think this is like Chambers just being doing her job before skirting and abandoning it later in the night.
Fine. So you will go to Whitechapel with Dr. Weiss. And finally, Ephraim, what are you thinking of today? Were you shaken by your encounter with the Coven last night? What kind of night have you had?
Yeah, probably not a lot of sleep and a lot of bizarre dreams during the sleep.
So what are you thinking?
I don't know. Now, do I know about the clues in the Sally No Face situation?
You know all the clues, so everything that everybody knows everything. So what you can see on the threat tab are available to all four of you.
Oh, okay. I think I would like to investigate the perfume shop then.
Okay, so let's have a look. Sally No Face. Expensive perfume. Now, the thing is, though, that all of those clues under Sally No Face have been used. So I should put a tick because they were all used in Chambers's effort to find out where the murderer was hiding. So I mean, you're welcome to, but the two questions that remain for Sally No Face are: how is the killer choosing their victims, and what is the true identity of the killer, and what drove them to this madness? So there are other clues that you could seek to find.
Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, I think I'm gonna try and figure out their identity.
Okay, so where will we see you doing that? Let's start with you. Where do you want to be? Where do you want this scene to open?
Could I have possibly figured out a place that might smell of both perfume and fish?
I think you might. I think that we before we kind of retroactively put it in the candle factory, there was a perfumier opposite the townhouse. I think we can legitimately say that they're down beside the Thames, as well as the abandoned candle factory. There is an import-export business, which includes the import of the makings of perfume. So let's have you beside the Thames. Yeah. I'm seeing
Okay.
the tide out. I'm seeing a certain degree of mud below an embankment. I'm seeing the poor of Whitechapel picking rubbish from the mud, rag picking and collecting anything that the Thames has disgorged. So what do we see you doing, Ephraim?
I think in his case, he would be walking around this place that he was drawn to and like touching various things to see if he could get an impression.
Are you angling towards rites of salt and smoke? Or are you just wanting to work with your reason?
I wonder if I could maybe get impressions and then go back to privacy to do rites of salt and smoke, because
Okay.
it's probably a little disturbing for people.
And your psychometry is built around items, isn't it? So I'm wondering if we see you collecting some of the items, or maybe for a few pennies, buying some of the items being retrieved to see whether they can tell you anything about what goes on in this vicinity. What do you think?
Yeah, that sounds good. Maybe I can help out some unfortunate people a little bit.
Indeed. So is it your presence to convince them to sell you things? Is it your reason to pick the right items? Or is it your vitality to go out there and pick them yourself?
That's a good question. I think it might be let's see. Gosh, okay, not reason, not vitality, presence. Sorry. There we go.
Okay. So this is about convincing these rag pickers to give you their best or the most interesting things they found.
Yep.
Okay, let's treat this as the day move then. So what are you afraid will happen if you fail or lose your nerve in this negotiation with them?
I think the moral dilemma of well, I don't want to just take things from these people, but the stakes are so high.
Okay, so if this goes badly, then the chances are that you are going to end up with a condition about feeling guilty, seems to me. Does that seem fair?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, well, let's have you roll with presence then. 2d6 plus presence. If you click on one of the dice and then click on another one of the dice and hit that re-roll button at the bottom, the 2 dice you've selected should re-roll. Oh, there's interesting. That's a whole 5. So on a 5, I think I can go beyond the complication here. I think that what is going to happen, Ephraim, is you are going to be tempted by an item. Somebody says, oh, well, I've got something better underneath the pier. Come down and see it. And you are going to end up stranded in the mud as the tide comes in. Or would you like to put on a mask and improve the outcome?
Can you tell me how that works? I'm sorry.
Fine. If you check out Ephraim's sheet, you'll find down there from row 44, you'll see some masks of the past, which are revealed one at a time. So you could now tick the one that says narrate a flashback of your childhood that shows the first time you encountered a dark entity. And that would improve that failure to a mixed success. Or you can pick one of the masks of the future, each of which has a unique effect for that playbook. And again, it would improve the outcome at a stroke. So the fate I have described for you of conceivably being drowned by an incoming Thames tide would disappear in favor of a mixed success.
Oh, okay. I think I will go with the dark entity
Okay.
from the past.
So if you tick that box and narrate a flashback of your childhood that shows the first time you as a child, because we've seen you encounter this entity in the womb, but what do we see when we flash back to you as a child encountering this entity?
I think Ephraim is maybe about 10 years old or so, and he is playing near some water with a friend, and he sees something very odd moving around under the water, and he impulsively moves toward it and gets about like waist deep in the water, and it's a very large fish with the same face that he saw in the womb.
Oh,
And he obviously yells, screams, falls down in the water, so he's submerged with this thing. And even though it's just a fish sort of curiously darting away and coming back, he sees this face, and he panics and starts to drown a little bit. But he manages to gather his wits in time and sort of roll out until he can stand up.
and that probably explains your reticence to go down that ladder into the Thames mud as the tide begins to come in. But you are going to end up having to, con these people out of some of these items. You're going to have to take them. So I will grant you the condition, guilty. Yeah. So you'll find up there on about row 22, I think, there's space for 3 conditions. Your first one is guilty. And I will apply that to give you disadvantage where I think it might be appropriate. But you do have a range of items that you think you had a feeling about. Okay. Dr. Weiss, where do we see you? Let's cut straight to Fig's. I'm not worried about breaking in. Let's cut straight to the Fig's apartment, the flat above their shop, with chambers. What do we see you doing?
Yeah, so I think that Dr. Weiss had a poke around in the downstairs last time in the basement where the work was done, but I think Dr. Weiss is more interested in getting a feel for the Figs as people, so he's going to be focusing on investigating their living quarters, seeing what kind of impression he can get of them as people up there.
So this is applying his reason to his interest in alienism and trying to work out something about these people based on the items around him. I get that.
Exactly, yeah, exactly.
Well, let's cut straight to the information move then.
Certainly.
Before you roll the dice, so I'm curious, Chambers, what are you doing while Dr. Weiss is looking around the apartment? Just so I know where you are.
Yeah, I'm going back into the basement. Yeah, where we stashed the corpses. They're probably not there anymore since the police were ratting about.
The police will have moved them on.
Yes.
And there was probably a note from Inspector Pettigrew at breakfast this morning saying, "We found some more bodies. They're still killing people." But yes, in the basement. Fine. Let's see how things go in the apartment. Then, Dr. Weiss, 2d6 plus reason.
That's 4. With my reason of 2.
Oh my goodness me. Isn't that fascinating? As Obert Fig steps behind you and puts his large butcher knife to your throat. Now, there are 2 ways we can deal with this. You could either put on a mask to improve that outcome, or we could give Chambers an opportunity to make use of, I can't remember the name of the move, but I know it allows you to appear at times of need, Chambers.
would depend on what need is what's going to happen.
Exactly. So I think he's about to cut your throat, Dr. Weiss, because you have the smell of good pig about you.
That's very fair. Yeah, I mean, if you're willing to come to the rescue, I think this could be a cool moment for Chambers to deal with him and for me to hopefully not die.
Yeah, so my Persian Friday, once per session, you can appear in any scene at any time, ready for action. Of course, I use this now. It means whatever shenanigans happen at night, I'm not going to be able to show up. So,
well, you know, I don't want to force your hand here. I just wanted to set up an opportunity if you wanted to use it.
Yeah.
Because if you choose not, Dr. Weiss can always put a mask on.
Yeah, I think if I do this now, can I request later to do a scene with Dr. Weiss to set up Chambers not maybe showing to their rescue later on tonight?
I'm sure that we can arrange an opportunity for Dr. Weiss to be isolated on his own and in need at some point if you want to keep it in hand.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I will tick a mask.
Oh, which one?
I think, given all that's happened recently, I'm going to go ahead and tick the Gilded Door and become the most beloved.
Oh, you are the most beloved. Right, so this will turn your failure into a mixed success. And tell the other hunters they can no longer choose the Gilded Door, and you can never clear most beloved. And the most beloved is often the most beloved of the threats. So we just got a label on our human sacrifice for the Coven, which is convenient. But that will give you a clue and a complication, I think. So let's have a look. Yes, I think you are going to have to fight Obert Fig before he runs away.
Sure thing.
But I will give you a clue now, a Fig's Pig's clue, which is Obert, you'd not been in the flat before, but there's been an obvious attempt to block out the sun. That's what Obert seemed to be about when you stepped in front of the room he was in and he went for you. So let's have you instead roll. I think there's some danger here, so I think I'm inclined to say night move, because there is a sharpened butcher's knife in play. So when you do something risky, name what you're afraid will happen.
Yeah, I think I'm afraid that Obert Fig is going to I think he's going to cut off my arm.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I don't I'm tempted to do There Will Be Bowels on the Ground again, but I think I've overused that image. So let's go with losing an arm. So let's have you roll the night move. I have to say this feels like vitality.
Yeah, that does sound fair. I'm just having a quick look at. Yes, I think if that's okay. I think as the I think sorry, tripping over words. I think that Dr. Weiss has got his Gladstone bag on sort of the has sort of put it down to get some stuff out as he was coming into the room, and I think is going to reach inside and pulls out a large lead Etruscan chalice which he's going to attempt to brain Obert Fig with, indeed.
Okay, let's see you have a go at that. So this will be 3d6, take the top 2 and add vitality.
That is, I think, an 8. I think my vitality is only 0.
Okay, so on an 8, you do it a hold steady. There's a complication or cost. The keeper describes what it looks like. I think that you do indeed get a glancing blow on Obert's head, and that stops him actually cutting your arm off. But he does give your arm you see the knife slice through your rather nice suit jacket, and blood begins to soak out of that. And as you spin away, there's a clatter and a crash as he rushes out of the French windows onto that flat roof that Rose has used before and disappears into the back streets of Whitechapel, leaving you with the condition wounded.
Brilliant.
Do you cry out?
Yes, I think so.
Chambers, your master cries out. What were you doing before you heard them cry out?
I think I was opening up I was looking through some cabinets just to see if there's anything the police might have missed. But then I hear that, and thankfully, my head is inside the cabinet, so no one can hear me sigh as I like calmly, methodically walk up the stairs to wherever Dr. Weiss is.
I'm going to suggest that you have with you something that might amount to a clue. So I'm going to let you roll for the information move and arrive in the upstairs room with a clue. So let's have you roll. It seemed like a reasonably methodical search you were embarked upon. So I'm going to go with reason, unless you got a case of something else.
I missed most of what you said there. My internet froze. I don't know why. It's always this time. You've noticed this, right? Everyone else has noticed this. It's always around this time. Usually there's hunky-dory. Well, once we get on to play with y'all between.
My assumption is that a lot of people are tuning into next Netflix at your end, and some junction box somewhere is overwhelmed with internet demand. So
that's likely.
What I'd like you to do is, I think you should roll for the information move for what you found in the basement, and then we'll deal with you responding to the cry for help. Yeah.
Sounds like, yeah. I was wondering, like you said, a road reason. He's like, I'm just walking up the stairs.
Yeah, they're very careful. You need to be careful going up those stairs.
That's a 9.
So that's a 9. There's complication, but you get a clue. So I'm going to give you a clue, which is detritus gathered into a giant nest. Oh, you're frozen, which probably means you think we've frozen. If somebody else wants to put in, are you back with us, Leandro?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, no, I noticed the freeze that time. I'm going to give you detritus gathered into a giant nest. Odd, very odd. That's your clue. And then you arrive to find, she arrives to find what, Dr. Weiss?
Yes, I think Dr. Weiss is cursing profusely, dropping a slightly dented Etruscan chalice to the floor. It was made of lead, I believe. So, yeah, says, sorry about that, Chambers. It looks like I disturbed one of them here. They got at me, escaped out the window. They're probably long gone by now.
I think Chambers like picks up the fairly dented like chalice, kind of makes like a gesture and kind of like raises an eyebrow at Dr. Weiss.
And that, I think, is the point where we will cut to Rose. Rose, where do we see you?
I was going to the gardens under the Coven threat.
That's right. I've forgotten the name of the place.
Rutland Gardens Estate.
Rutland Gardens Estate, yes. You know, is this a front door thing or a servant's entrance thing that you're pitching at here, or are you just looking around the gardens?
I'll look around the gardens first, and then I'll go to the front door.
given that there's the gorgeous flowing blonde hair is beginning to creep down the sides of your face and over the back of your hands. Are you taking any precautions?
I'll probably have like a hat with a veil and wear gloves.
Okay. So let's have you look around the gardens of the Rutland estate then. Are you using your kind of increasingly bestial senses?
Scent. Yeah, in scent and then vision sort of thing. So I guess it would be sensitivity.
Vitality, I think, is probably where I'd go, because when you roll 10 plus on the quickening, you get a benefit to vitality. Oh no, it's not. Oh yes, it is. Yeah, it's benefit of vitality. So I think this is vitality. This is your animalistic physical side. So let's have you roll the information move with vitality then.
8.
8. I think a servant comes upon you. What are you doing here? Says the gardener. Miss, because you're dressed like a miss-ish.
I'll say, my name's Rose. My Scotland Yard asked us to look into the activities of a fellowship. We heard they were here recently. Could you tell me something about their visit?
Oh, indeed, yes. Oh, they came. It was a big do, very big do, a night or so ago. Lots of guests in the big house. Of course, I didn't get to see, but it was odd. Do you know what? Since then, 2 nights since, do you see yon tree?
Yeah.
It seems to me like every cat in the neighborhood has gathered there. Mewling at the moon, they are, of a night.
That's very odd.
I think it's unnatural, and I've been told that they are unnatural.
Well, that's, I'm here to find out and hopefully to help. But so nobody was hurt. There wasn't arguments or anything when they visited.
Well, I wouldn't know about that, miss.
Okay, I'll go and have a good look at the tree and have a sniff.
And the complication is that you are going to be followed by cats. Because you are a cat, aren't you?
Yeah.
So the clue is cats gathering in the same spot every twilight. But you are now accompanied by cats as a condition. So let's go back round. Let's go back to Ephraim. Ephraim, you've collected some of these items from the vicinity of where Chambers has suggested Sally No Face may be operating. What do we see when you get back to Hargrave House?
Let's see. I think like a a piece of a jacket that looks like it was torn off by hand. Some let me think here also. A straight razor, and a woman's hat.
Okay. So are you tempted to use your psychometry on this to try and get some sense of what these items know about events? Because that would be right of salt and smoke, I think.
Yep, that's what I was thinking.
So what do we see you doing then?
So Ephraim has like an actual scroll that he rolls out, and because he couldn't commit it to memory, he has the Lord's Prayer written backwards on it. And also he has some communion wine and wafers and he spits them out into a chamber pot and says some of the things that are said during communion, but in reverse, as in we reject the body of Christ. We spit out his blood, etc.
Which strikes me as a perversion. But I think your guilt, the guilt you feel over the means you took to obtain these items from these poor people, who might well have sold them for more in the market. I think this puts you at disadvantage. So you can be rolling 3 dice, but taking the bottom 2 and adding sensitivity.
Okay.
Okay, that looks like a 4 to me. A pair of 2s plus 2 is 6. You know the face that you saw in the dark entity and the fact that that face was revealed in the Coven? One of those faces appear to you now in the form of an apparition, and the apparition is screaming at you and baying for your blood. And at the back of your mind, as in the seance last night, you hear the voice of members of the Coven laughing among themselves. The little boy is lost. The little boy is lost. And I am thinking that the Coven may... I think the Coven will take control of your body and march it out of your window. Or you could improve the outcome.
Oh, okay. Would that involve a mask?
That would involve a mask.
Okay. I think it would probably be appropriate to invoke the time when a dark entity possessed you.
I can get to that. No, hang on. I'm missing that one. Where's that? Oh, yes. Sorry, the darkened threshold. I beg your pardon. I thought it was a past one. So, yeah, go ahead. Narrate a scene in which you are possessed by a dark entity and you harm an innocent. What do we see if it's not you walking out of a window? Which innocent do you harm? What do we see?
So let's see. He's a young adult, from what I understand in this one.
This is in real time. I'm offering you the chance to mark the darkened threshold and hurt somebody, rather than throw yourself out of a window.
Oh, okay. So this kind of echoes the past where a similar thing happened and an entity was trying to get him to drown himself, which he suspects may be the same entity. And he does manage to have enough control to grab onto someone, like a friend, or perhaps a young woman he was interested in, and he hurts them badly in the process, sort of dragging them along and dislocating their shoulder before he can break the possession.
And we see there's a call for help in the street outside Hargrave House, where you have accosted a nanny pushing a pram, and the pram is kind of running down the slight incline outside Hargrave House as you wrestle with this woman who is screaming, and a group of people arrive and they pull you off, and just as the pram is going to run under a carriage, someone grabs it, and that's when the possession is broken. But what I will give you is the 7 to 9 outcome for your rites of salt and smoke. Choose your effect and a complication. So what effect, which of those effects do you want? And which complication will you take?
Sorry, I am looking through them here. Observe another place or time.
Okay. I'm prepared to give you place and time on this occasion if you want to observe the disused candle factory.
Oh, okay, that sounds good. And do I pick a complication now or
You do.
after?
You do.
Okay. The magic draws immediate unwanted attention.
Yes, that's when D.I. Pettigrew, who was coming to check on progress, arrives outside Hargrave House and takes charge of the situation. So you're going to have to deal with D.I. Pettigrew as well as whatever else comes out of this. So yeah, let me give you a clue then in relation to Sally No Face. Let's have a look. Yes, I will give you a vision of a shadowy figure ranting about getting even with those that rejected them. If you just summarize it as a shadowy figure ranting about getting even, I'll know what we're talking about. And we'll deal with D.I. Pettigrew in a moment, but let us first go to Dr. Weiss. Now, Dr. Weiss, you've got chambers, you're kind of sorting yourself out. What do you want to do?
Yeah, I think Dr. Weiss is going to turn to Chambers and say, I don't suppose you have a hip flask or similar on you, do you? I did not think to bring my carbolic acid with me, and I dread to think what was on that blade.
This is maybe after Chambers is like patted down Dr. Weiss and got him all straightened out.
Stripped his coat off, rolled his sleeves up, revealed the wound.
And yeah, we'll just kind of like silently produce a hip flask because he always has one. Brandy of Varus quality.
Yeah.
And there must come with a hip flask.
Would you mind awfully helping me off with my shirt? He'll kind of, obviously indicate the wounded arm is not quite as
wondering how subtle it is if Chambers says, as if I'd ever mind that, as she does.
Yeah, and I think
go ahead.
No, go on.
Do you think it's wise to do this right now, Doctor? Here, of all places.
It's better than the alternative. And yeah, I think once he's kind of stripped off the shirt, he'll probably just like cut off the sort of the torn sleeve and pour some brandy over the cloth and say, would you mind just cleaning out the wound a little?
Yeah, Chambers is gonna do so, but it is kind of like, again, there's still like the bits of like maybe the fingers are glancing different different parts of Dr. Weiss's arm, but she's gonna do it legally, carefully, and silently.
I wasn't certain if either of you were angling towards a vulnerable move here.
I was thinking so, yeah.
So is this another opportunity for sharing a cigarette?
I was thinking the use of the brandy as disinfectant.
Fine. Yeah. So when you have an intimate moment with another hunter, while one of you is engaged with your vice, and we will count because we'll see Chambers taking a slice off the top, while the doctor is looking away while you're cleaning his arm. You may clear an appropriate condition if it's your vice. So each of you clears a condition. I'm not sure Chambers has one at the moment, but Chambers, it's your vice, so you could stumble on a clue or invite the other hunter to ask you about your past, which I have to say is the mini-series that we're now planning.
Yeah, let's invite. I think we've got enough clues at the moment. So let's go with the latter. I think this is like a moment where Chambers can probably be caught off guard.
So, Dr. Weiss, what would you like to ask Chambers?
I think as Chambers is attending to him, Dr. Weiss will just, without even looking, will just say, "This isn't the first time you've had to attend to someone's wounds, is it?"
You wouldn't trust me if it was. For someone of your breeding and character, there's certainly more scrapes than I would expect someone like you to get into, but one that has to be prepared. I've learned to be prepared.
And I'm guessing that's wounded cleared.
It is indeed, yeah. And I think Dr. Weiss is just going to once the wound's cleaned, he'll sort of take the remainder of the sleeve and just sort of tie it around as a makeshift bandage for the time being. But so before he does, I think he's just going to gently put just a couple of fingers onto under Chambers' chin, just to hold you in place for a minute as he actually kind of looks in the eye and says, "I really don't know what I'd do without you, Chambers. You are a godsend." And then he'll go back to sort of bandaging himself up.
How do you respond, Chambers?
In the background, Ryan Chambers feels like her chin is being assessed for something. But I think she will say, as Dr. Weiss is like, maybe low enough that he might not hear.
No, I didn't hear that either.
Oh, sorry. I was whispering now, and there's a fan next to me. Chambers whispers, "You'll probably find out soon."
Okay. Are you going to stay out and about, Dr. Weiss, or are you inclined to go back to Hargrave House and just check in?
Yeah, I think I might return to Hargrave House after that. That's quite enough excitement for one day.
Rose, what about you? Are you intending to go back to Hargrave House, or are you going to continue looking around the Covens?
Yeah, I'll go to one of the other houses, do the same thing, check out the garden first, chat to any servants I can. I've got a bunch of cats following me.
Okay, Brompton Road or Boscombe Place? What's your preference?
Was it Boscombe or something? Yeah.
Boscombe Place. So yeah. Again, this is a townhouse, so not much in the way of front garden for you to access. Back garden is kind of securely behind any kind of walls. So do you go to the servants' entrance down the stairs at the front, or do you approach the front?
Yeah, I go to the servants' entrance.
And the door opens, and a kind of bloke in a powdered wig. Yeah, who are you?
My name's Rose. I'm here on behalf of Scotland Yard. Just had a few questions about the Fellowship's visit the other day, if you've got a moment.
Well, no, you must go upstairs. That's official business. I can't be dealing with that.
I was told you're the person to speak to.
Well, I'm a butler. I'm not. You must speak to the master or mistress.
No, you're the person I want to speak to. Did anything odd happen? Like anyone get hurt or argue?
Well, let's see if you can get across the threshold first.
Yeah.
So I think this is the day move. What are you concerned is going to go wrong here, or could go wrong?
Yeah, he's not going to speak to me because I want to talk to him. I don't want to speak to the masters and stuff.
Okay. Okay. So I think this is your presence.
Yeah.
But I have to say, the feral beast in you puts you at disadvantage for these kind of interpersonal relation roles.
Unless he's a cat lover.
Indeed, because and you could see his eyes going down, and as cats kind of wind their way around your legs. So let's have you roll with disadvantage. Oh,
4, 5. Sweet.
Slam. Simple as that. You're not getting across the threshold, and if he gets to the front door first, you won't get in through the front door either.
Yeah. That's all right. We got heaps of clues. I'm just going to go home. I'll go back to Hargrave House.
Okay, let's cut back to Ephraim. As a cab pulls up with Dr. Weiss and Chambers in it, as Inspector Pettigrew is wrestling with Ephraim in the street, surrounded by a group of onlookers and a woman clutching her shoulder and screaming. I'm going to go to Chambers first, because this is a bit messy. But I am inclined to let you think about that, Chambers, while we take a 10-minute break, because we're just on the hour. So shall we be back in our seats at 10 past the hour? I will see you then. We're back from our break. And so I left it with Chambers getting out of the cab with the intention, I suppose, of helping Dr. Weiss down to the pavement, only to find D.I. Pettigrew and Ephraim Parker kind of wrestling in a ring of people. What do you do, Chambers?
Go in there to try and break it up, and just kind of like pull them apart.
So a physical intervention on your part.
Yes.
Okay, well, let's have you roll the day move with vitality then.
Vitality.
What are you worried is going to happen here?
Oh, that things would escalate and the fighting will continue.
Or even involve you?
Even involve me, because guess what? You know how Inspector Pettigrew had suspicious feelings about Rose because she had the darkened threshold.
Yes.
Guess who also has the darkened threshold?
Oh, well, will you look at that?
Yeah.
Fancy that.
Fancy that. Wow. That's a big old 6.
Okay. And Dr. Weiss, what you will notice is Pettigrew's got his arm in a sling. That's why he's struggling to subdue Ephraim, because we know that he had an accident that put him in the Whitechapel Hospital, I think, the other night. So he's wrestling with Ephraim one-handed, and the look on Ephraim, how does the audience know that you are possessed?
I think his normally very calm demeanor is not there, and he looks very manic, and is speaking word salad.
So that's what you see, Dr. Weiss, and then as Chambers kind of tries to pull Pettigrew away, Pettigrew lashes out. And Chambers, you are going to take a physical condition of some description as Pettigrew lashes out with his truncheon. Or you could mark a mask.
Yeah, I think I'll definitely mark a mask. I might still get that condition, but at least I'll get what I wanted. Yeah, I'll mark a mask of the past. Narrate a flashback to the event that eventually forced you into servitude.
This is the one we've been waiting for.
Oh, yeah. I think this is so. Last time we left Chambers in their charmed life was, living fun and fancy free in her own like digs. I think this is. I feel like I had an idea last week, but I don't remember what it is. I'm just going to plow ahead with this other idea. It involved carriages, but I don't remember what those are, what that was. But I think this one is Chambers getting out of a cab and looking in. I think like I'm on her way back home, but there's like a crowd around the street as she gets out of the cab and sees that her home is now on fire. And I think like she just kind of like whirls around and tries to see. I think unlike whichever house she burned last time, she knows exactly. Unlike that guy, she knows exactly who did this. So she's kind of like whirling around the alleyway trying to find who they are. I think she kind of runs down the alleyway, but I don't think she finds anyone. And then after this, I think we get like a montage of like Chambers trying to, get help, get credit, talk to her friends, but they've all kind of like shut her out, as if like just this big veil has gone over London and suddenly whatever patronage she had is now gone. And I think
there has to be an opportunity in that montage for Clara Yarborough to say, "Where were you when I needed help?" Slam.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And I think like the because I need to get to the point where she's forced into servitude. I think it is going to be a chance meeting, not with Dr. Weiss, but maybe with Lord Kit.
Yes, a meeting with Kit.
Yeah, I think correct me if I'm wrong, David, if Kit wouldn't do this, but would he being part of being noblesse oblige, would he get you to take on Chambers as an act of like pity for this poor, destitute, silent, kind of like quiet, clearly has a lot of anger boiling under her surface, kind of like lady.
Yeah, I can see that.
Well, because I was wondering whether you were angling for you end up in service to Kit and you are kind of inherited by Dr. Weiss.
Yeah, that could work too.
Actually, yeah, that's more fun. That's interesting.
So that will improve that outcome to a mixed success, which means that you do separate them. But Pettigrew turns on you and says, "Chambers, what the bloody hell are you playing at? Do you know what this bloke's done?"
I don't know yet, Inspector, but this is hardly the scene to be doing this. Let's all go inside, calm down.
I need to take this man to the station, not inside Hargrave House. Dr. Weiss, what do you do?
Yeah, I think that Dr. Weiss is going to sort of step forward and say, "I am sorry if our new companion has caused you any issues, Detective Inspector, but he is helping us a great deal with our inquiries, and we are making good progress on tracking down the figs. I am sorry if his behavior has ruffled a few feathers, but I can assure you it is most important that we continue to receive his assistance in these matters. Perhaps we will, of course, answer any questions you may have when we are less consumed with the task at hand.
Is this reason or composure? Because I don't know if you're trying to, hide the fact that you have a gashed arm bandaged behind you, which would be composure, or whether you're just trying to be charming.
It definitely feels more like composure to me, I think.
In the circumstances, I'll go with that.
Yeah,
The worst thing that could happen, I think, is that he might insist on carting Ephraim off to Scotland Yard.
That sounds fair. And that's a 4 again.
Oh, well, what do you know? And do you know what, Dr. Weiss? I'm taking her as well, pointing at Chambers. Or would you like to improve the outcome, Dr. Weiss?
Yeah, go on. Let's do that. I'm going to mark a mask of the past there to upgrade that to a 7 to 9. Which is narrator flashback to the time you had a terrible fight with the person you lost. Yeah, and I think we see kind of a scene in a kind of a nice townhouse in London, and I think we see there's a number of like nicely wrapped packages on the table that have all clearly come from a tailor's. One of them has been ripped open, and there is a inside there is a very obviously very new uniform jacket, which has all the marks and insignia and the like for a captaincy in the Indian Army, and Dr. Weiss is yelling at a slightly contrite looking Kit, saying, when the hell were you going to tell me about this then? We talked about this. I don't know why you're listening to your parents on this. There's no need for you to go off halfway around the world I don't even know why. We can, I have to stay here in London. I can't come with you, and I don't want you going all that way without me. And I think this sort of continues for some time. And yeah, I think we definitely do get that glimpse of, at some point, Chambers just kind of hovering in the background as this sort of argument. And I think it's probably a fairly one-sided argument, at least in the yelling and shouting side of things.
I think that's great. Gosh, I wasn't expecting Kit to do that. And I think there will obligatorily now be in the background, putting some of the clothes away in a wardrobe, Chambers. The first sight of Chambers in a scene with the good doctor. And that will improve it enough to calm down the inspector. And he'll look around and people say, "You lot, clear off, clear off." And Ephraim, then the final fogginess of the possession clears. And how do we know that you're back?
Well, I think that's fairly easy. Just sort of the ranting in word salad ends, and he seems very confused for a second, and then vomits copiously on the street.
I'm seeing him sat on the bottom step on the street, vomiting profusely, which is when Rose returns, I think, because I think I need to get you all back together before I can separate you again.
I just need to do Old Bones at Boscopel.
Oh, sorry, you did want to do
first.
Old Bones at Boscopel Hall, didn't you? Fine.
Yeah.
Let's cut to you at Boscopel Hall.
Yeah, so the servant slams it on my face, and I just turn around and put my hand on the building and have a good sniff, and yeah, see how I go. So
let's have you roll with sensitivity with Old Bones.
I didn't roll bloody 1 dice. Come on.
I was going to say, but it is a 6.
9, so 10.
10. Okay.
And my question was, will the Coven return here?
Okay. I think let me see if I can give this to you in a clue at my discretion. On a hit, ghost will appear. Ghost of who? Who do we see? Because we have not spent much on the special effects. A lot last time, very little this time.
I know, maybe some deeply religious servant that saw some of the stuff they were putting up in the hall, and to shut them up, they killed them in the cellar. So they only recently killed.
Oh, right. Okay, so this is a murder victim. Okay. I just thought you might want a ghost that simply observed events, but no, we'll go with that. I was plagued by dreams. Were these dreams of black hounds, dead fish, spiders, or something else?
I think dead fish, because we've got another one that mentions a fish smell, so that kind of fits with that.
So plagued by dreams of dead fish is the Coven, and then cut back to you at Hargrave House. As everyone, Chambers, ushers, and Rose help Ephraim back inside. And before you go inside, the inspector says to you, Dr. Weiss, "Look, Weiss, I came to you for help with this Sally No Face business, and you've said nothing. What on earth's going on? Have you made any progress?"
The matter is well in hand, Detective Inspector. I have no doubt we will put a stop to these terrible crimes.
Well, you better had, Doctor, because I can't keep this from the press much longer. You've got tonight and tomorrow. I'm certain there'll be something in the newspapers.
Of course.
And he storms off, leaving the 4 of you at Hargrave House. Ephraim recovering from his unpleasant experience, and the doctor wounded. Rose having done some work on the Coven, and
with many cats.
With many cats, yes, streaming in after. Yeah, if you noticed the cats first, Chambers, you might have been able to close the door on them. But now every time you throw one out, it appears that 2 more appear. So let's have you. I think it's still probably technically morning, so let's have you in the morning room. I'm going to go to Dr. Weiss first because of what Pettigrew said to you. What's your thinking, Doctor?
Sorry, what about?
I'm just curious if you want to try and answer a question.
Yes. So yeah, I think for the Coven, I think that we have a thread running through a couple of the bits that we have. We obviously have the I'm going to mark the invitation to Braithwaite Hall, okay, and the blueprints of court buildings, okay, which I think alongside the kind of anecdotal evidence of the other kind of places that these censuses have been, I think it shows that there is an interest in the Coven with locations that hold temporal power, as well as possibly also supernatural power. But I think that there's definitely an idea that the Coven are looking for places where powerful people are and can be found, and that's sort of central to their scheme.
Okay, let me go next to Rose, because you've done a bit of work on this, Rose. So the doctor's suggestion is that the when and where, we know the when is tonight, but the where is places of temporal power. Can you either explain or link another clue?
There were two to do with well, there's one to do with dead fish. So I think maybe there's a factory near the Thames.
Explain to me how that fits with temporal power.
It could be across the river from it, so you can see one from the other.
Across the river from Parliament, conceivably.
Also, we've got well, act like a Mark II with that. So
yeah,
I'll let someone else do one.
Okay, let me go to Ephraim next. Ephraim, can you link any more of these clues to the idea of a place of temporal power? So far, we're focusing in on Westminster, on the north side of the Thames, opposite a fish processing factory of some description. But don't feel bound by that.
Okay, let's see here. So I should be looking at threats.
You should be looking at threats, the Coven, and you'll find down there on row 16 a whole load of clues. And so far, the doctor has linked Braithwaite Hall and blueprints of court buildings to places of temporal power. And Rose has gone so far as to suggest this could be in relation to Westminster or Whitehall, opposite a fish factory on the south bank of the Thames. Is there anything you want to put into the pot?
I think I understand. How about cats gathering in the same spot each twilight?
And are they gathering in Whitehall as well as under the trees of Boscobel Gardens?
Yeah.
Okay, so cats are gathering. Oh, sorry, I got there before at the same time as you. So there it is. Let me now go to Chambers. We're at 2d6 minus 1 currently, Chambers, in terms of answering the question. Where do you want to take us next?
Yeah, I think, Westminster area. Let's make this literal with the tower card, the tower.
Yeah.
Specifically, the tower usually represents, well, literally the art is usually a tower broken apart by some calamity, lightning or whatever. And there happens to be perhaps in the Westminster area, maybe where the cats gather, there might be a location there that had been a rather tall tower that has literally been struck by lightning, and it still carries the scars.
I'll be honest with you, I don't know the date for the building of Big Ben, but it would be rather cool if Big Ben was a skeletal structure looming above Westminster tonight.
I thought it was one of the places that she set fire to when she was younger.
I don't know why the Coven would care about that.
Okay, let me go back round to Dr. Weiss. Dr. Weiss, so we're narrowing in on a tower location in Westminster.
Yeah, I definitely want to throw in there that, yeah, obviously the you have the is it Queen Elizabeth and Queen Victoria Towers? I think they are, but the two towers of Westminster Palace, which were built after the previous building burnt down. So yeah, that definitely feels like the tower card to me.
And I can tell you for certain that Big Ben was completed in 1859, so it is less than a decade old yeah. As you contemplate it.
And I think actually, yeah, the because I know we have this clue here of water moving in an unusual direction. I can't remember the exact context when we learned about that, but I can't remember exactly where it is, but Westminster is certainly not far from the point where the tidal Thames joins the the riverine Thames or whatever it's called. But so I think but I think the tides have been behaving strangely recently. Perhaps there's a particular conjunction of the moon coming up that affects the tides in some way that might be tied to this ritual.
Okay. I think we are now at +1. Rose, do you want to take us to +2?
I was just wondering, can you mark a personal item when rolling to answer a question, or
no?
No, oh,
no.
Damn it.
No. I think the only thing you can do is if you all mark a mask, you can improve the outcome.
Well, the tarot card in the unusual place, inverted high priestess, which is instead of wisdom and forethought, it's like madness and insanity in that. So maybe some lady of note went nuts and bloody, caused the calamity on the tower.
Mark that clue. So that is 2d6 plus 2. Ephraim, can you get us to 2d6 plus 3? Can you knit one of the remaining clues into this developing story that there is some kind of the ritual is going to take place in Westminster or Whitehall, focused on the towers of Westminster Palace. It is going to involve some mad woman and involve bringing the towers of Parliament down. That seems to be what this is about. Can you get us anything else into, can you involve any of those clues into this story that we have woven?
I'm thinking maybe the slick of purplish goo, the ectoplasm. People have reported seeing that coming out of the tower, but it when someone else looks at it, it's not there. It's like people are having a bit of a hallucination.
Good enough for me. So I think what we should see then is that we are answering the question, where and when will the final step of the grand ritual take place? It will take place tonight in Westminster, in the vicinity of the towers of Westminster Palace and Big Ben. I am going to go to, I think given that Ephraim was called here by Annie to help defeat the Coven, it seems to me appropriate to ask Ephraim to roll the dice. So Ephraim, you are rolling 2d6 plus 3, because that's as good as it gets. I think probably with your sensitivity, do that thing. Will you look at that? That's 8 on the dice, plus 2 is a 10. So on a 10, you are absolutely on the money. It's the correct solution and an opportunity can be pursued. So this tonight, you will be able to confront the Coven in that location. So I'm just going to write down in terms of this, the answer to the question, yes, it is. So we'll, I can't spell Westminster, but that's not the point. So Westminster is where you will confront the Coven tonight. Does anybody want, I started with Dr. Weiss. Chambers, you've been very keen to pin down Sally No Face, I know, and you think you know where they are. Do you want to try and work out who they are, or are you more interested in Fig's pigs?
Ooh. Let's see. If I try to work out who Sally No Face is, be rolling with -5 since we only
That's
have
a
one
lot,
clue.
yeah.
Yes, and honestly, Chambers doesn't give a damn who Sally No Face is.
You just want to kill him.
Yes, yes.
Or them.
Or them, whoever they are, doesn't matter. They're dead. In her eyes. So yeah, just wondering like if we could figure out Fig's pigs, but looking at the time that dealing with the Coven might take a while.
I mean, I think if we can sort out some more answers to the Fig's pigs, I think that you know, because the night phase is mechanically constrained, I think we've got a good shot at it. Because each of you has to instigate a scene, don't you?
Yeah, let's, and also, yeah, I forgot these questions aren't that complex.
I have a theory already for Patrick Fig.
Well, do share, Doctor. Apply your alienistic talents.
Indeed. So I'm gonna grab a few at once on this one because I think it's kind of all ties into my thought. But I think that we've got this nest that he's been building, and a book of nursery rhymes with the references to birds crossed out, and an attempt to block out the sun. All of which to me point towards the fact that that Patrick Fig believes that he is an owl.
Okay, so you believe that he is an owl, and therefore you'll be able to lure him out tonight. You are rolling 2d6 plus 1. Let me go to Rose. Rose, do you think you can boost that to a 2d6 plus 2, or do you want to save some to find Mrs. Fig? Mrs. Fig.
I'm wondering if the hay on the outdoor roof extension is just letting us know it's somewhere up high. It's not a ground level lair or nest or whatever, because it's, yeah, owls aren't ground birds. So.
Okay, so I've ticked that one to get us to 2d6 plus 2, and that leaves 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clues left to have a go at Mrs. Fig if you wanted to. I think I'm going to ask Rose to roll this one. Though the Doctor got us going, I think Rose's encounter with the ravens is good enough for me. So Rose, 2d6 plus 2.
Dice. Oh shit. 5.
Oh, okay. So
Oops.
So the answer is incorrect, and the keeper reacts. That is when the pigs attack Hargrave Hall.
You don't mean the police.
The figs, not the pigs. I beg your pardon. Hortensia, Obert, and I've forgotten his name. Patrick burst through the door downstairs. Chambers, what is your reaction when the door crashes open? Oh, you are muted.
We were in the morning room hashing all this all out.
I'm sorry, I have to ask Rose. I'm sorry, Rose. Oh no, hang on. You can't do this. Oh, do you all want to don a mask to turn that into a mixed success? I ought to ask before I proceed.
I'm leaning towards no, because it's a nice twist.
Okay. Let's go with no. Chambers, rock and roll.
Yeah. I think Chambers is going. Yeah, we'll immediately like head towards like where the commotion is.
Out of the morning room into the hall, where Obert Fig throws himself at you, butcher's knife in hand.
Yeah. Well, I'm not gonna want to do that. That doesn't seem like something I'd be interested in doing.
Is this when we discover that you've employed barrel staves as in-house security?
I mean, if I can roll that, let me.
Well, I told you can always flashback to tell us, that the informals are on call.
See if they are. I'm gonna roll with presence then. See if they're out and about. That's a 7. No, that's a 6.
Oh,
no.
On it. So 6. Do you want to put Donna Mars to improve that to a mixed success? Or does Patrick Fig brandish Barrel Stave's head?
Oh, well, you win some, you lose some, I guess. Actually, let me see. I want to see. I have 4. I'm not gonna roll that much. Yeah, no.
You can mark at the mirror shard to give advantage on that roll, or
no, you have to do it beforehand.
Yeah, and I don't know how mirror shard is helping with the having employed barrel staves. That doesn't make any sense.
Unless the ghost of James Street has been set to watch Barrel, but I can't. That ship has sailed.
I doubt it. Oh, Market Mask. I don't want barrel staves. We did. Yeah, Market Mask of the past. There's a flashback when you were more of a family member to your employer than someone of their own flesh and blood. David, can you remind me the context of that fight with Kit? Actually, no, this might happen after Kit has like passed on. We'll figure out how that we will not see what that is. I think this may be like the first week or so when I'm now your employee. Probably for some unstated reasons. Don't know. But yeah, I think like, because the thing is, like, the thing with these questions, I don't want to just like make up stuff about your flesh and blood. You're like, is any of your family still around after?
Could it be Kit's flesh and blood? Then you've got open season.
Yeah, but then again, Kid is like David's an NPC of me. I don't want to step on any toes. I guess I just want to know: is Dr. Weiss is like family around?
I think they're probably not very involved in his life, put it that way. But yeah, I wonder if this is. But I think they are. I think they are still probably alive. But I wonder if maybe this could be like at Kit's funeral. And I think like I think that maybe without treading too much onto my own past, I think maybe Dr. Weiss hasn't been invited and is kind of watching from afar.
Yeah, and I think like as like you maybe see the funeral broker breaking up. You hear voice behind you who you've not heard before because you've never heard Chambers whenever she's around. But I think you hear something along the lines of, he said you'd be lonely and that would make him unhappy. And it's my job to make sure he's not happy. So if you have me, sir, I can do all sorts. That might be it.
Only Chambers would take a funeral as an employment opportunity.
Yeah, who's to say if Kid actually said all those things?
Indeed, indeed. We'll get the true story the next time the Doctor begins to mark some masks. So that improves it mixed success. This means Barrel Staves is on his way, but he's late. So everyone's going to have to survive a round before Chambers gets the advantage of Barrel Staves and his East London boys turning up. Chambers, Obert coming at you with a knife. Barrel Staves isn't there yet. What do you do?
Yeah, I'm gonna dodge to get out of the way, and hopefully he'll smash into some of those random trophies and nonsense we've kept here in the entrance hall. So this is like a reaction. I'm not gonna like far be it for me to get into within knife range of a serial killer.
I'm going to treat this as a night move because they are a threat. So what are you? So you're afraid that you're not going to be able to dodge him.
Yeah.
I'm afraid that he's going to get you. So 2d6 plus vitality. You have no conditions, so it's straight up and down.
Yeah. Do I have anything that would help me?
Oh yeah, do feel free to think about personal quarters.
Yeah. I'm not. I don't want to just throw brandy at him.
You could scare the living daylights out of him with the broken mirror.
There's
a ghost in there, you know.
I'm saving that for someone who deserves it. More than this chap. I'm just gonna roll. That's a 7.
Straight 7. So on a 7, you do it, but there is a complication or cost. I think the cost is that as he barges past you, you are temporarily off balance, so you will be at disadvantage for the next round, but no worse than that. I think I'm going to probably come to Ephraim last, because Ephraim is the person who is most discombobulated at the moment. I think, Rose, I will come to you next, because the beast would like to be released. What do you do?
I'm kind of leaping for them, and I'm pulling out my Colt 45, and I'm going to blow away the mother. Okay,
so you're going to try and kill Hortensia Fig. I think, again, I'm going to treat this as the night move. So let's have you, but I just want to check in on your conditions.
Yeah, I've got a limp, but I'm also marking personal quarters. So do they cancel each other out?
Well, I think that Mark of the Beast actually works for you in this context, because you are more feral than you have been. So yeah. I'm going to give you advantage for Mark of the Beast and then cancel it with limp. I don't think the cats apply, so you can get advantage by marking the Colt.
Okay. Oh, it'd be funny to see 12 cats just jump on some.
Let's
go. I guess this is vitality.
And vitality, I think, is...
Okay, so 6, 7.
Altogether?
Yeah, oh shit.
Gee whiz. Okay. So you are going to succeed, but I think that so you've marked that. I think you do wing her, but the complication is you don't kill her.
Okay? I can mark a master, bump that up.
You could.
Where is it? So narrate a flashback to an incident that caused you to receive the Quickening Curse. So that is when I was 10, I was running through the woods. I tripped over and donked my head, and like 3 of the Coven and their hoods come out, and they sort of they kind of look at each other, pull out blowpipes, and all go, and their darts hit me, and my skin sort of goes green, and I start to change.
Oh wow! So you are the curse goes back to the Coven. Oh my! Oh, how exciting! Okay, that improves it to a full success. Bang! Hortensia Fig is shot between the eyes. I know I'm not supposed to resolve that, but you haven't answered a question about her, so I don't see I'm bound by the rules. Doctor, I don't think of you as being a violent man. I'm not sure if I have a view of Ephraim yet, so I'm going to go to Ephraim next. Ephraim. Staggering to your feet, feeling still slightly concerned, what do you do?
I think Ephraim realizes his physical limitations. He's pretty useless in a fight, so he's going to try and improv a little. He's grabbing a random trophy and he's going to start chanting in an attempt to get them to back off.
So is this a bluff or is this a real right?
Oh, this is a total bluff. And I'm thinking he reaches for a random trophy and he ends up grabbing like a stuffed dodo bird and feels a bit foolish for a second, but just goes with it.
Brandishing a dodo into the hallway. I'm going to treat this as a night move because there is a big butcher's knife, at least one butcher's knife in play. So what are you afraid is going to happen if this goes badly?
Draw even more attention to himself.
Oh, right. Yeah, so you'll be at disadvantage because 2 of the figs will go for you. I think it could get very nasty if Obert bouncing off the trophy and stuff that Chambers diverted him into is the table where the dodo is. So if this goes badly, you're going to brandish a dodo and he's going to cut you bad. So let's have you roll with vitality or composure. You wanted to avoid vitality, so let's go composure to stay calm, or presence to actually impress them with the ritual, the pretend ritual. Which one?
Okay. I'll go with presence.
Go for it then. Goodness me, you lot are doing me so many favors tonight. I think that's a 5.
Yep.
He is going to cut you bad unless you put on a mask and improve that to a mixed success.
Okay, let me take a quick look here. Sorry, I'm on the wrong tab. Hang on, there we go. All right, so let's see, masks. Oh, how about a mask of the future, the moss-covered gate?
Oh, now the Coven is already in play. Okay.
To put the. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh,
the risk is that I could have the Coven turn up as well.
okay. Let's see. How about the mask? Oh, not that one. Oh, okay. How about narrate a flashback into your young childhood in which you use your supernatural affinities, for selfish purpose.
I think you have to do these in order. So I think you're stuck with narrate a flashback to your young adulthood that shows your first sexual encounter with a dark entity. We can veil that, of course, but we can do the run-up.
Oh, okay. That sounds good. So yeah. I'm trying to think about setting appropriate settings here. Yeah, so it's sort of a scene of Ephraim and a young woman in sort of a woodland setting. And he looks like the cat that caught the canary. He's incredibly happy. And this woman has her arm around him, and they sit down on a tree stump together, and she puts her arms around him and starts moving in to kiss him, possibly. And he feels something that couldn't possibly be her nails in his back, and her face contorts horrifically.
And the mouth opens and we draw a veil. No, I go with that. Thank you. So that improves that to a mixed success. You do it. There is a complication or cost. I think you do cause them to back off. So anyone acting for a little while is going to be working at advantage because they don't know what to make of you. But the complication, I think, is that Obert is beginning to edge towards the door, dragging his mother away. Okay. Chambers, it's been a while.
Does that mean my buddies are here?
Barrel Staves is in the house.
Yeah.
Barrel Staves and a couple of East End lads burst out from the kitchen, the servants' entrance at the back. What do we see happening?
I think I just kind of like this is like the closest like Chambers has actually raised her voice a bit for once, and just kind of says, you know, loud enough for Barrel Staves to hear at least. So basically just an even register. Don't let them escape. Okay,
so let's have you roll, I think, with Vitality, Chambers, to lead Barrel Staves and the boys in an effort to capture a fig. You are rolling with advantage because of them. I don't think there's any reason why I could give you disadvantage to cancel that out. So roll with advantage using Vitality.
Yeah, let's see if the dice are nice this time. Well, it's better than it usually is. That's an 8.
8. I mean, you are going to capture them, but I think that this will be Barrel Staves counting. He's done for a while. He's done you enough favors.
Yeah,
that will be the complication. Fair. Unless you want to mark a mask and have him available tonight.
No, that's fair. Barrel, I'm sure Barrel Staves has a fully realized, fleshed out life of his own. I'm sure he doesn't need me calling off on him for every little thing.
Okay, Hortensia is dead. Do you want to have them capture Obert or Patrick?
Let's go with Obert, since we have actually successfully answered the question.
Indeed. So it is Patrick who escapes, flapping his wings down the street. But we
dignified, sure.
But I think that was because that all started because we got that question wrong. So maybe he isn't an owl. Well, at 2 minutes past the hour, I'm going to call a break until 10 past because I need to draw breath after that. See you at 10 past the hour. So, cut to Inspector Pettigrew and a crew of policemen carrying the body of Hortensia Fig and the manic Obert Fig to a black carriage, one of those sealed prison carriages outside, and loading them aboard, and addressing all 4 of you in the chaos, the bloody chaos of Hargrave House front hall. Well, I don't know what's got on here. I was expecting Sally No Face, not the bleeding figs. But I suppose I should be grateful for what I get. But Doctor, I need Sally No Face sorted out.
Of course, Detective Inspector. We will resolve the matter.
So now the question is, folks, whether you want to try another approach to Patrick Fig, or whether you want to proceed to dusk and then night. Darren, what are you thinking?
I'm a little stumped right now. Can I see what my what the players want to say?
No, it's fine. What about you, Blake? Are you thinking that we should try for the other fig, or do you want to proceed to dusk?
No, I can go to dusk.
What about you, Leandro? Is Chambers for dusk and killing Gregory?
Yeah, I think that's forefront in her mind.
Okay. Unless Dr. Weiss has real objections, David, it looks like we're going to move to dusk.
No, that sounds good to me. I think splitting 3 ways is probably a bit more than is practical in the time we have. So
I think that's probably fair. So dusk. Playbook moves. So at dusk, there is the old quickening at
Which I have disadvantage.
Rose.
Yes. Okay. Mm.
Is it me, or is that snake eyes on the dice?
Yes.
So you are either going to go berserk and become a threat yourself, or you're going to mark a mask.
It's got reveal your curse to another hunter and ask if they help controlling you.
Oh yeah, there is that option. I think it possible.
So
yes.
could, for example, Chambers point me at her enemies and I help her go and get Sally No Face or something.
So hang on. So if they agree, neither of you can take any action that would trigger a move during the upcoming night phase, though you should narrate scenes showing how the cursed character is being controlled throughout the night. During the dawn phase, you each mark 1 XP. This option can only be chosen once.
That seems like a crap option for a finale.
It does, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll mark a mask then. Okay. Narrate a flashback to a time when the quickening curse caused you to hurt someone you care about.
Ooh. We didn't know you cared about anyone, Rose, really. So who is
well,
this?
It's because of this particular incident. We'll go with the old standby. She was getting friendly with a female friend of hers, and they had a night on the town, and they went back to their chambers. But then she started to change, and things went very badly. And since then, she's hasn't gone into a relationship.
Is that why she left America?
Yes.
Gosh, a blood-spattered saloon bedroom. I like that. So that turns failure into mixed success, which means that you are going to mark a condition.
I've already got 3.
Oh, then somehow someone is going to have to put this right. I think. How do we deal with it? What happens when
you have to mark another mask?
Oh,
Jesus.
Go ahead. Thank you for that rules reminder. I do remember that now you come to mention it.
Right, a flashback is an incident because you could. Yeah, well, I guess it's kind of related to the last one, that when I come to my senses, I went back to the room to see what happened, and I realized that I killed her, and the cops burst in, and I jumped out the window, and they chased me, and I just kind of ran straight to the dock, so I didn't even have half my stuff.
I'm sorry. I hadn't realized I should pay more attention to the grayed out bits of what's coming up. But no, that's great. But that is all the masks of your past. Gee whiz, not very many left, Rose. So that's all good. Fine. You can replace accompanied by cats with drained. Yeah. Because I think drained is more fun than accompanied by cats. They've served their purpose. What else have we got in the way of dusk? I see this the day work chambers.
I think as I've spent most days caring for Hargrave House, this time I'm going to find something of use in the house. And I think, like, again, much like how I wordlessly gave Ephraim some heavy duty gloves, this time I'm just gonna like wordlessly give him some smelling salts. Good for maybe one possession.
Yes, yes. So Ephraim, add smelling salts to your personal quarters. Any more dusks? Mother, night work.
I was umming and ahhing over this because it is our finale, but I think I am actually going to activate night work.
Okay.
So essentially, for what matters now, Dr. Weiss will be busy this evening working for Scotland Yard, probably making nice with the detective inspector by helping out down at Whitechapel Morgue.
Or interrogating Obert Fig.
Yes, yeah. So for this night phase, I will deal with all of the prompts for the unseen.
Oh, right.
But obviously not appear in actual scenes.
Okay, but you choose, and then you choose some stuff, don't you?
Yes, that's right. I think that's in the morning. I get to yeah.
Okay. Oh, so I see. Yes. Well, there you go. So the doctor is busy, disappears off with going to disappear off to Scotland Yard. What else do we have? We need to, what are you going to be doing? So each of you has one inciting scene. So and we have, I'm going to say that Chambers is going to frame the scene of confronting Clara Yarborough's murderer at the candle factory. That seems appropriate, doesn't it? And I'm inclined to say that Ephraim Parker is going to frame the scene of confronting the Coven. This leaves you, Rose, to frame any scene you like. And also, it's not one person per scene. The rest of you can be in those scenes, with the exception of the doctor.
Yeah, no, I would go against the Coven because I cursed my hand and I know next to nothing about Sally No Face at this point. So
okay, so your primary option here is to back up Ephraim at the Coven. Okay.
Well, he might see it that way, but I tend to go there and kill everybody. So
enough said. Unleash the beast that they put in you. Ephraim, am I being presumptuous to suggest you want to frame the scene on the Coven? Don't feel bound by it.
Oh no, that's good.
Okay. No Janus masks. Hang on, where's that? Isn't this where we do another room of? Yeah, this is where we do another room, the salon. So we'd have a quick tour of the salon at Hargrave House. What do you see in this room that makes it the most comfortable spot in the entire house chambers?
Oh, it has absolutely the best cushion, the best couches, as in like this is something that in her more frivolous times, Chambers has stress tested, cough cough, in the past. They're like good, especially for monster hunters who can't be arsed to get to their room and needs to like collapse or lie down. And the couches more than provide.
So sumptuous, comfortable couches. Ephraim, what do you think makes the salon the most comfortable in the house?
I'm not sure how appropriate this is, but there's just a lot of amenities available, like tobacco, liquor, maybe even a hookah.
Oh yes. Oh, Eastern Promise. Oh yes. What about Rose? What does Rose think makes the salon?
there's just a lot of no stress stuff like, you know, checkers and chess and poker cards and stuff. You can just go there and chill out. And
Leisure
you know,
games are
there might be a
available.
regular thing that we do. So it's, yeah.
And what about Dr. Weiss? If he ever relaxed?
Yeah, no, I think that the thing Dr. Weiss appreciates about the salon, I noticed there is a separate room just below that, but I think in the salon as well, there is a piano in one corner, which, Dr. Weiss plays with some frequency.
I like all of that. Great. David, I wondered if you wanted to choose the unseen.
I'm happy for you to choose one for me.
Okay. Then I think we've had some pretty kind of low class bits. I'm enticed by the Empire Club. If you go to the unseen, this is D12. The Empire Club is situated in a grand townhouse just off St. James Square. Membership is popular among young aristocratic sons of lower birth order, many of whom have traveled to or profit from holdings abroad. Probably all members of the Indian Army, for all I know. Select invitations have been granted to those of less esteemed breeding who have managed to make their mark and a small fortune overseas. It boasts card games till the early hours of the morning, cooks from the four corners of the world, and plentiful bedrooms for those far from home or avoiding their family. Tall tales and business deals alike are shared over brandy and cigars.
Excellent.
So, Dr. Weiss, paint the scene. Beyond the wood-paneled walls and leather armchairs, what signs of masculinity and power are on display here?
Yeah, I think we kind of down the long hallway entering the club. There are several like those really big old-fashioned guns, the sort of punt guns and all sorts of daft weaponry designed for hunting, elephant guns, that sort of thing, and lots of skulls of big hunting animals and rhinos and all sorts arrayed along the walls.
This is the reason that many large mammals are currently endangered, because in the 1850s, members of the Empire Club were shooting them by the dozen. So let me go then to a candle factory on the Thames. Chambers, frame our scene for us.
Yeah, Chambers is not going to be subtle about this. We cut to like her outside of this candle factory, looking for like a way in, and it might just be like she's not probably expecting the door to be open. David, can you write down the unseen bits and nothing so I remember them?
Hunting trophies and guns, I think is the short answer.
Yeah, I think the long and short of it is like Chambers, once she finds a way in, is not gonna be sneaky about it. She's like just marching in, and she might have a bag on her. Who knows if it has antiquated surgical instruments, but she has like stuff on her that I might have to.
Of course. Rose and Ephraim. Rose, are you accompanying Chambers or are you leaving her to herself? Rose?
No, I'm going with Ephraim.
Okay, I didn't want to deny you the right to be in this scene if you wanted to be in. Ephraim, are you content to wait for the Coven, or do you want to accompany Chambers?
I think I would only accompany Chambers if asked. It would seem odd to just sort of do
Yeah,
that to a woman, just say, I'm coming along.
No, I think that's probably true, because Chambers, I think, has been the factotum with no name on this one. Yeah, so this is not a stealthy approach, but kicking in the doors.
But opening it, no, not exactly kicking it in, but like,
Okay,
we'll just
okay, opening the
open it.
doors. I will describe this as it's lit inside. It is lit not like a candle factory. It is artistically lit. And in fact, I did. This is the space that she comes into. It has been either as a chapel or a theatre of some description. And all along this upper balcony are arrayed mannequins, artistically arranged, but with flesh faces. You see a piece of art, Chambers, that Sally has endeavored to make more beautiful. What is it, and how did they improve upon it?
I think, like, to contrast with all the mannequins, there is a statue at the front. It is like I think, like, it's like pieces of it are clearly like marble, but pieces of it are clearly like flesh. Like, I think it's like maybe the torso is like marble and maybe one leg is marble, but like one arm is like flesh and has kind of been taxidermied, so it's pointing up to the sky, and the other leg is also like flesh. It's missing an arm and a head at the moment, so it's clearly a work in progress.
Okay. Now, what I thought I might do, given this is our finale, what I might do is to cut back now and ask another Empire Club question, and then set the scene outside Westminster Palace. So, a boisterous game of cards is played by some of the young bucks. Amidst the bluff and bluster, how do we see the differences between those with great wealth and noble blood, and those with only one or the other?
Yeah, so I think there's just a presence to the truly powerful here. The space they take up at the table, the fine cut of the garments they wear, and you can see the others, either those who lack money or lack class, fixating on them, almost kind of bewitched and transfixed by the kind of display of power and opulence that they kind of exude.
Thank you. I'm now going to go to Ephraim and ask Ephraim, as we see you and Rose approaching Parliament Green in the shadow of Big Ben and the Houses of Parliament, tell us what we see of the Coven, Ephraim, as you approach.
Oh, okay. I think we see a hooded figure with a very slim arms coming out of their robe, and we kind of fail to evade their gaze, and they look at us, and there's like a flash underneath the hood, and they run off to warn their co-conspirators.
Okay, so you've come across one of the Outrider cultists. If we go back to Dr. Weiss for the third one of these unscenes, and I'll go to Rose to see how that scene outside Parliament unfolds. So two older gentlemen, Sir Mortimer Holland and Colonel Bulstrode, grumble about the lax morals and deficient work ethic of the younger generation. What complaints do they make, and how do we see the envy, their envy for their youth?
That was muted, right? Yeah. So I think we see that they're sat in big wing-backed armchairs by the fire, swirling glasses of brandy around. And I think Colonel Bulstrode just mutters, nobody wants to work for anything these days. That's a problem. They just expect to be able to reach out and take whatever they want without putting in the effort. In my day, we had to slog and strive for what we had, and they want a shortcut to power. But we kind of see them both kind of nodding, and their skin sags off of their jowls as we sort of see the much more exuberant and youthful and well-toned young men, playing at billiards across the room from them.
And there's a glint of envy in those eyes, I dare say. So let's cut back to Chambers. Where is Sally No Face, and what are they doing? And then what are you going to do, Chambers?
I think they are kind of like past the statue. I think Chambers is, again, not bothering to conceal her presence, just walking up to the statue. And I think past that, you can see like where the more workshoppy parts of Sally No Face's like lair is. Like, there's a table for things.
I will describe Sally No Face as dressed in an all-encompassing white robe with black rubber gloves up to the elbows and a wooden mask over their face.
Yeah. So,
I think I forgot to go back to Rose for the follow-up. I beg your pardon. I shouldn't try to organize complicated things. Rose, this acolyte runs off, and as you get closer to the action, what does the center of this ritual look like? What are people doing? What do we see?
I think when they ran off, I immediately chased them, and there's a bunch of them standing around a big cauldron. It seems to be on some sort of gas oven thing, but yeah, it's still basically a big pot or cauldron. There's got incense burners and candles all around the room, so it's quite well lit. It's just by candles instead of gas lamps or whatever.
Thank you.
And they're chanting in ancient Greek or something.
So what, Chambers, do you do? Sorry, having interrupted you.
I think I see, Sally No Face is like working, maybe humming to themselves, and it really resonates in the mask. Sorry, because it's the final session, there's a part of me that wants to get indulgent, and I know we didn't answer the other questions, but
get indulgent.
Yeah, I think Chambers will kind of get their attention, but they're saying, so it's Gregory now, is it?
And there's, the whistling or the humming stops, and the mask turns towards you. Oh, hello. Just the pieces I was looking for. And they turn towards you with a scalpel. What do you do?
I'm going to. I thought and realized, no, it's too self-indulgent. It's too much to do it right now. So I think instead we're just going to be practical about this. Chambers is, to respond to that, is going to take out a broken shard of a mirror and who knows who's run into ghosts these days, but I think she's just gonna shatter it in front of her and let the ghost of St. James Street out on this dude.
Oh, yes. Oh, we like that as a potential resolution. Let me cut back to Ephraim. Ephraim, you and Rose are in this inner sanctum of some kind. There's this bubbling cauldron. I think probably that there are drainage vents where ectoplasm is bubbling up. What are you going to do, Ephraim?
Could I possibly use one of my items?
Oh, you can use any item you like. Which one have you got in mind?
I was thinking about the rosary.
Of course. So you've got the rosary in hand. And what are you going to do to try and disrupt this ritual?
I think I'm going to, so he pulls out a small knife and cuts the rosary. And he is starting to do the rosary in sort of a blasphemous fashion, like, we abjure Mary, the slattern who birthed Jesus. And he takes a bead off and throws it away. And he keeps doing this.
And I think that is rites of salt and smoke.
Yep. He's trying to essentially counter the ritual.
Okay, I'll come back to the mechanic in a moment, but let me ask Rose. Rose, there's the core members of the Coven. Ephraim is doing these chants and casting the rosary away. There's a group of acolytes who are going for Ephraim to stop this. What are you going to do?
I'm going to try and grab one of the acolytes and like throw them at one of the Coven.
Okay, so I just need to be clear here. Are you trying to stop them getting to Ephraim, or are you trying to attack the Coven?
Probably stop them getting to Ephraim.
Okay, so you're going to set about these, and if you get a great result, then you can cast them wherever you like. Can we go back to the Doctor for the last bit of our unseen? Francis Ackerman has recently returned from the subcontinent. As he retires to the bedroom he is taken at the club, how do we see him drop his stern facade and express his vulnerability?
Yeah, I think we see him come in dressed in his, stiff collar and evening dress, and he slowly strips out of the clothing, just kind of dropping it on the floor for the valet to deal with later. Once he's kind of stripped down to his underwear, he opens a small case on his on the vanity, and pulls out a long pipe and ladles some opium into the end of it, lies back on the bed, lights the pipe, and these thick clouds of pungent smoke rise into the air as his eyes close, and we see that kind of moment of relaxation come over his naked body as he begins to feel the effects of the smoke.
Brilliant. Let me then now go to Chambers. This seems like composure to hold your nerve in the firm belief that this ghost is going to attack him and not you, or them and not you. So I think this is the night move. What are you most afraid could go wrong here?
That the ghost would attack me as well. Given that I've kept it in this shard of a mirror for this some time. Like, I mean, so long as that the dude also gets attacked, I'd be fine with that. We'll see.
I think it could be worse if this goes badly and they take off the mask and you discover that Solly No Face is Dr. Weiss. So with that in mind, do you follow through and roll the dice with composure?
Got an advantage. He'll be fine. I say this knowing we've rolled poorly.
That explains why he's busy at Scotland Yard some evenings.
All right, let's see how this goes. Wow, that's an 8.
So on an 8, it will attack. The complication is that it won't stop attacking. It will then come after you, and you have to roll the night move again.
That's grand. I'm absolutely grand with that.
So what do we see as this ghost attacks Sally No Face?
Yeah, I think the ghost of St. James Street will kind of like erupt from the mirror, and I think like it is kind of like during its time in the mirror, so because they've been in there and no one's really looked at it, it has become less of a human figure and more of this amorphic kind of like billowing, pulsating, grotesque fog. It's like a fleshy fog, kind of.
An ectoplasmic fog?
Yeah, okay, that's better than fleshy fog.
And what does it envelop?
Yeah, I think it'll kind of like it'll spread throughout kind of like the building, and I think like whatever like bits of glamour and power that exuded from this place is kind of being stripped away by this like unearthly kind of like fog that's kind of like, and the thing is like it mostly hit Sally No Face, and I think like it kind of like rocks them back, and I think like their mask is like cracking at this like and the weight of this kind of like fog. Sorry, I'm looking at the chat there. And I think like this fog kind of develops throughout the area as like Chambers kind of like walks up to see if like how's Sally No Face doing?
Well, then I think that what you're seeing is that it has stripped away all the surface glamour of Sally No Face, and I think you see a twisted, corrupted figure.
Who knows who that could have been?
Who knows who that could have been? But they are well dressed underneath those robes. Because it was a mixed success, it then turns on you. I will come back to that in a moment. Rose, let me come to you first. These acolytes are rushing to protect the Coven from Ephraim, who they see as the danger. What do you do?
I'm just going berserk and clawing them, biting them, punching them, whatever.
And the irony that the curse, the mark the Coven put upon you, now gives you advantage to do that.
Okay, let's go.
Oh, I should ask you what could go wrong. Sorry.
The mark actually allows them to control me.
Oh, right. Okay. I think the worst thing that could happen is that they are in fact feral beasts and they will tear you to pieces.
Oh, that's lovely.
So
Okay.
roll with advantage.
Yeah, so 7, I guess it's vitality, so 8.
8. So there will be a complication, but it looks like, so what do we see? Well, how do you stop them disturbing Ephraim? What do we see you doing, you feral beast?
Yeah, I'm biting him and clawing him. My eyes have gone all feline. I'm quite hairy at this point. And it's just, you know, it's like Captain America in the elevator, except it's a bunch of cultists and the furry thing in the middle of it.
Okay, body parts begin to spatter around the room. Some are heading in the Coven's direction. But let me finally then go to Ephraim and say you have set the ritual of salt and smoke in motion. Do you want to, you are using the rosary, so you roll with advantage. You roll 3 dice and take the top 2 and add sensitivity.
Oh, wow. Wow.
The 2 was a disappointing start, but the pair of 6s somehow made up for that. So I think that's 14. So
Yep.
on a 10 plus, the magic works without further cost. Choose your effect.
Oh, okay. Let me just make sure I am choosing something appropriate here. Oh. Okay. So what I was thinking is trap a specific person or creature. So there is one person who appears to be like the linchpin of this ritual. And as Ephraim blasphemes and throws the last rosary bead away, the rosary appears between their jaws at a very painful, constrictive strength.
And they can no longer continue the ritual. Are they physically held in place?
I would think at least a little bit, just because they're overwhelmed and in excruciating pain.
And I think the rest of the Coven scatter into the night. Let's cut back to the ectoplasmic fog that begins to congeal and turns towards Chambers. I think composure again.
Yeah,
I think. Else?
Yeah, I think so the task is to get out of here. I don't know if I want to contain this special fog. I think like there's like a moment where like she wants to see who that serial killer could have been. If we had a bit more time and answered more questions, I probably would have done the indulgent part and tied them to Chambers' past, but that moment is gone. It's more fun to keep it ambiguous. So to get out of here, I think Chambers is, again, quite looking silent and confident, will pull out the Hand of Glory.
If you got it, burn it.
Yeah. And I think
what could go wrong here?
The Hand of Glory, because Chambers doesn't usually truck with the supernatural. She just knows this is something that can ward off, maybe, or maybe it can draw in. That's her worry. Like she got that maybe because this is already used up. Yeah, one finger has been used, so she's not sure what the rules are exactly. I was gonna ask Sister Morrish or Ephraim about that, but serial killer had to be killed. Yeah, so it might draw in. Yes,
I think it could be worse if the fog possesses Chambers, and she becomes the new Sally No Face. So let's have you roll the night move. Now we know what's at stake.
Cool. 3 dice again. Okay, that's much better. I think that's a 12.
That is a 12. And so the fog looms over you, and a face begins to emerge from it. And the face smiles at you. And then it disperses. Let's cut back to the space beneath Westminster. Ephraim is holding the head of the Coven in place, Rose. What do you do?
So they're still, well,
Everyone else is scattered.
Okay,
To
so I'll
save
tip over
themselves.
the cauldron.
Okay.
Oh, well, bugger that. So the head of the Coven lady is standing still, or
Yeah, held
person?
in place with it.
Oh, I'm gonna rip her heart out then.
I thought you might. And turn to Ephraim and eat it. And that, I think, is probably where we come to a close. I would like to offer very brief epilogues. Dr. Weiss, when do we next see the doctor? Assuming he's still around.
Yeah, I think we see the doctor stopping. He's kind of it's clearly like in morning. He's walking through the streets. He's got a couple of bags in his hand. He stops off at a pastry shop, picks up a little box of French pastries. Stops off at a flower shop and brings a couple of bunches of fresh flowers in. Sort of puts some flowers out and puts a tray of pastries down on the breakfast table. Sort of heads off with one, sort of whistling a happy tune. And the next we see of him, he's kind of got sort of a croissant in his mouth as he's unwrapping a couple of the parcels he was carrying, revealing a couple of body parts that he's harvested and is slowly assembling into the child.
Because your dawn move gives you up to 3 pieces of body, I think.
Indeed.
How delightful. Rose, what do we see of Rose?
I think in contrast to recent events, they're at a restaurant. If Darren's all right with it. Yeah, Ephraim and Rhodes have just gone to have a nice meal at a restaurant somewhere.
And happily, some of the hair has, with the death of the head of the Coven, has receded to a more normal level. Ephraim, do you want your epilogue to be that meal, or have you got something else in mind?
I'm thinking the scene is Ephraim back at the house, and he briefly says a very polite good night and bows to Rose, and a servant he takes a second to compose himself, and a servant runs up with another postmortem telegraph from Annie.
Oh, do tell.
And he sighs, goes into his room and starts reading it. It's something to the effect of, if you are receiving this, you've done very well, and I thank you. However, I apologize I knew the consequences of this, but I sent you to do it anyway. And there's more on there, but he pauses for a moment and pours a cup of absinthe and sits back in his chair.
And it seems appropriate we should finish. I've got a little one in my mind, but I want to finish the character epilogues with Chambers.
Yeah, I think when there's like 2 quick shots. First one is when Dr. Weiss gets back from morning work, he'll find a note waiting for him at breakfast, which has already been laid out. Chambers nowhere to be seen. And the note just says, have some work to be done. We'll see you soon. We'll see you in a while. And Dr. Weiss gets the feeling that like Chambers won't be back for a long while, because something about her old friend dying has almost pulled her out of a funk. And so the next shot we get is, I think, in an alleyway, looking out into a into like a very nice upscale kind of theater in London, and all like who's who is coming by to 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 go there. And I think in this darkened alleyway, Chambers is watching as all these like the upscale noble gentry of London coming in to taking the sights. And I think we see much older than he was, but this man who may have had a house that was burnt down a while back, but clearly he's gotten, he's gotten back on his feet. Still looks like he's gotten back on his feet. He still looks very well to do, put together. I think like in Chambers is watching in the distance. The one aspect I want to add is like maybe something Chambers wouldn't register is that like this man greets this other woman and kind of like gives her kind of like a kiss on the hand. Chambers doesn't notice because I don't think she interacted with them, but it's very clearly the mastermind.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. I'd like to finish, because you can't run a series without a hook for the next one. We've had one there. This is moonlight cast across a cemetery. And the moonlight falls on an angel with spread wings. And as we scan down, we come to the plinth, and there, freshly chiseled, in memoriam, Annie Morrish. And as we pull back, the freshly turned grave, and then a hand comes up out of the grave. And we'll pause there. A quick roses and thorns, given our finale. So in the order I can see you for no other reason, David, any roses?
Yeah, no, roses all around. It's been a lot of fun. I really liked getting a chance to see more of both more of the flashbacks to Ephraim's early life, as well as seeing them in action against the cult. And I really like the kind of the details around the sort of ritual stuff he did was really cool. Darren, that was awesome. I thought, I mean, everything was cool, but I really like those little details on the you know, the perverted sacraments sort of thing was really cool. So yeah, that was awesome. Again, likewise, it was great to sort of see like the climax of Rosa's history leading up to this point. And you know, I wish in some ways that the dice had been a little bit more favorable for you in particular, Blake, but at the same time, it was great just to get to see so much of that history come out due to the repeated use of masks. But yeah, but no, it was really cool getting to see that kind of full arc of Rose's backstory come out. That was awesome. And yeah, I think a bit of a thing there, but yeah, again, Leandro, it was really cool seeing the sort of next steps in Chambers' history. Really nice tying it in with Kit and stuff there. That was really cool. I liked it. One of my very, very early thoughts before we learned a bit more about Chambers' past was I was wondering if maybe Kit was related to Chambers, but then obviously when it turned out your background was very, very different, that's probably not going to fly. But yeah, it was really nice to kind of see that, you know, without anything being said, that sort of being reciprocated the other way was awesome.
No, but in series 2, we will definitely discover that Chambers is the wrong side of that blanket.
Yes.
Yeah. I have a ridiculous backstory about Chambers in mind. It's all references to some Grand Guignol games I ran last year.
That's brilliant. Grand Guignol is also very cool. I like that a lot. But yeah, and yeah, Alan, again, really nice. I thought, again, particularly tonight, I mean, in general, but like tonight, I thought you got the pacing of the scenes. I mean, it's now 1 minute past 10, I believe. So yeah, I think the pacing of all the scenes and like how you switch spotlight between people and all that sort of stuff again was really cool tonight. And yeah, it was some really nice moments of characterization of some of the NPCs as well was also awesome. But yeah, it's been a great run, all told. And thank you. I mean, yeah, and when it comes to Thorns, the only real thorn, such as it is the time and its inexorable march onwards. It would be great to see some more of this. So that said, I don't know how much more play some of these characters have left in them, but
well, that's true, isn't it? Yeah. One of the things that one of the thorns is in my head is time is in terms of the longer term pacing. How does the GM make sure that they're not putting such terrible failures in people's way that they're obliged to mask, and then the clock is ticking on that character? I'd like to run this across 12 sessions, but I'd be worried that the characters would make it through. But no, thanks for that. Leandro, any roses?
Yeah, I think a lot of arrows is from what characters are doing, and just some of the just cool stuff that people are coming up in terms of like prompts. Like there's very much a game, there's very much here's a question, what's your answer? And I always appreciate what people's answers are and the stuff we see. Of course, it's the last session when we finally see Rose get all full violent and furry. Of course, it makes it to the finale after a series of failed rolls, having to mask up. It was great. We got there, and love that little bit of teaming up with Ephraim. I thought, yeah, it made sense. Rose was chasing a lot of the Coven, given she was the most affected by Annie's death. We know those two cold motherfuckers over there at Hargrave House are like, now we've got this stuff. Annie's dead. Let's move on. Yeah. That kind of goes to like not a thorn, but like an interesting thing about this system, in that it feels like all the character development is already done, and we're just kind of like figuring out how we got there.
It's clever, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really interesting. And I'm glad and also the stuff we saw is just great freaky stuff. The thing with the whatever, I mean, I wish we could see more of whatever the heck this dark entity with the same face that's been menacing Ephraim. But that was
series 2.
It's so much. Yeah. And I love it. I love a lot about Dr. Weiss. Again, the whole weird Jeeves and Wooster dynamic between him and Chambers, especially getting caught out in the in Fig's Pigs and having to use a chalice to find his way out.
I knew I'd left this in my bag for a good reason.
Yeah, bag.
Yeah,
beautiful.
It's the joy of the game. Oh, yeah, that's why he had that chalice in session 1. Said the audience. Of course, now it makes sense.
Of course, yes.
Okay, moving on. Blake, any roses?
Yeah, I like the sort of ongoing nemesis patron sort of fish creature that Ephraim has. That was good. You can see the audience hating this cruel entity from the other world or whatever. That's good. Chambers tying into Kit, kind of being Kit's servant. That was a nice twist. I didn't expect that. And the whole the Doctor and Chambers going into Fig's Pigs, it had a whole, Holmes and Watson investigating stuff vibe, which was nice. It fit the genre quite well.
No, I'd agree with that. Any thoughts?
Yeah, as I said before, it's a bit weird sort of being a monster but also being a monster hunter. So it's like, well, it's not hard to play a psychopath, but it's not necessarily entertaining in a cooperative storytelling fashion either. So while I could have gone berserk and told the shit out of people every session, is that really entertaining? So it's like, yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think the American is what the American is in that sense. You're right. It's a bit one tone.
I probably should have asked to look at animals and stuff more, so I could have used my awakened soul more, because I kind of used it at the start and then didn't after that. But yeah, no, it's good fun.
You tried it on the ravens and I think failed miserably, but you know, life's a bitch.
Yeah, I did some shit house rolling in this one.
You did. It's because it's late where you are. You know, dice get tired in Australia at this time of day.
Well, it's 6 in the morning now.
Well, exactly. You know, they're just waking up. Now's the time to start rolling dice. Darren, any roses?
Oh yeah. I think the number one thing is the pacing. I was really surprised at how much we got in 3 hours with breaks. I mean, that was really great. And people were really good on the fly with answering questions. I enjoyed the answers too. I like this game quite a bit too. This is my first time playing it, and I've never played Brindlewood Bay. So yeah, that was great. Okay, I'm drawing a blank here. I had thoughts
No,
a minute
fine.
ago.
That's plenty of roses. No, that's great. Any thorns though?
I'm gonna give myself a thorn. I should have went with the scene with Rose at the end, and of course I thought about 2 different ways I could have went with that, like 1 minute later. But I don't know.
No, don't sweat it. You know,
I think there's a French
fine.
word for
doing
that.
the ritual and man,
no,
I thought it
I
went
think that's
well.
fine. And I think, you know, you gave me the clue then, because I was going to have something at the grave for Annie Morrish, but then when Annie sends you another, you know, from beyond the grave telegram, you know, that set me thinking about something different. So don't knock yourself. Don't knock yourself. Roses for me. I was so pleased in the end, Blake, that you ate that woman's heart. You know, I needed to see. Yeah. And Darren, you know, how many more perverted sacraments can you come up with, my man? Because you know, everyone was a fresh one. A lazier player would have settled on, oh, this is my perversion. I do this again. But everyone was different. That was tremendous. And my next one is a twin one, really, because it is about the Weiss Kit relationship, and then the way the backstories came together. That was just that was fabulous. I loved that. And you know, part of me wanted, I'll be honest with you, David, for that last that aging fat Orientalist to have been Kit. But that was, you know, that would have been pushing it too far. But no, I want to know more about, you know, Jeeves and Worcester. Thorns, I think there's never enough time in this game, but that I'm scared shitless that if I had more time, everybody would be dead. So I don't know what to do with that. I think it's an open-ended game that you might have to finish early if people are kind of running at the end of masks. But no, I want to play some more of this, and I think a quarterly in the spring might be the way to go. So
Yes, please.
So just thank you for persevering while I maneuvered my way around the rules, you know, properly. I am going to stop the recording. So bye to the internet.